Welcome back to The Tonic, your prescription for a healthier and happier life. Here's your host and publisher of Tonic magazine, Jamie Bussin.
Barbara Huelat is a prominent human-centric healthcare designer, author, and speaker. She's created healing environments and solved health challenges for more than 300 healthcare organizations and serves as a healing environment consultant to healthcare facilities, product manufacturers, academia, institutions, and the architectural design community. She's written 3 books and always fascinated with the beauty of science and the science of design. She believes that human-centric design experiences can mitigate human misery. Welcome to the show, Barbara. How are you?
Great. Thank you, Jamie. I look forward to this.
So today we're going to discuss something interesting, and that is how to communicate with somebody who may have dementia or Alzheimer's. And, you know, there's a lot of caregivers who listen to the show, so I thought it would be important to bring you on. Are you up for the task?
Sure. It's one of my favorite topics because communication with dementia is one of the areas that we really have struggled with and often have very difficult consequences. Let's talk.
Okay. So if somebody has dementia, how does it affect that person's ability to communicate effectively?
Well, having dementia, regardless of what disease it comes from, it really affects 2 of the brain's memory systems, the semantic or the cognitive part of the memory, or the episodic or the emotional part of the memory. And with dementia, the semantic memory is greatly damaged. Sometimes the episodic is damaged as well, but not as much. So the semantic memory is made up of our cognition, the data that we've collected over our lives, facts, and language skills. It also impacts our filters, so we don't know how to use finesse to get through a difficult situation. So this way the memory work directly impacts the people with dementia, how they remember words and what they mean. So that's how it affects our language skills.
Okay, so that's one part of communication. There's also sort of nonverbal communication.
Yes.
And sort of people pick up on facial expressions as well. So how does that impact the overall act of communication?
Well, the nonverbal plays right into the emotional part of the memory. So this is where we have success, and we can break down cognition difficulties by the emotional part of the memory, such as smiles, facial expressions, using our hands to point, and using body language to ask questions. For example, if you're smiling at the person, you touch their shoulder, and then you touch your stomach or rub your stomach and say, does your stomach hurt here? It's far more effective than saying, do you have a stomach ache? So combining those emotional characteristics with some language helps bridge that communication between the cognitive and the emotional part of the memory.
So there's a gentleman in my neighborhood who goes for regular walks, and I see him because I walk my dog. And the first time I came upon him, he told me a joke, a simple joke, and then he walked along his way. And then I saw him a few days later, and he told me the same joke. And then he did it a third time. And when he did it, I didn't realize he was suffering from dementia. And I said, I've heard that one. Do you have another one? And I didn't know. Right now I know better. And I listened to the joke. I probably heard it maybe 50 or 60 times. But he was upset. He got upset when I told him that he had already told me that joke. And I realized the frustration that must be there for people who have dementia when they're confronted with, the shortcomings or the problems in communication. So what can we do to help maintain calm when we're interacting with somebody who's going to get frustrated with the difficulty in communication?
Right. Well, the frustration occurs because they're living only in the moment. And like your experience walking the dog, that moment was the first moment for him. He couldn't recall the past moments that he had with you. So that was the frustration. And then you were asking him a question that was very difficult for him to respond to, another joke. So the ability to keep calm and eliminate that frustration and anxiety is speaking slowly, being friendly, always use a smile, and if they repeat, which they will, you just ignore it like it's the first time you heard it.
Yeah.
And sometimes just, the body language, a gentle touch on the shoulder or the arm can be very reassuring. And trying not to contradict them or make them feel like they might be losing their dignity. You need to respect that, even if you've heard it 1,000 times. They do repeat because it's the first time for them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I came to understand what was going on. You know, I felt foolish for not understanding what was going on immediately, but now it's sort of, it's understood when you see him, he's going to tell that joke. And that's his way of communicating. And he seems happy in doing that.
That's great. We want to keep them talking, even if they say it 1,000,000 times.
Yeah. So there's a term called active listening. Can you explain what that is and how it plays a role in dementia communication?
Yes, active listening means that you slow down, you put aside your own agenda, and you pay 100% attention to what's going on with the person, listening to what they say, and it can be confusing to you. It's almost like we're speaking two different languages because that person is living in the moment, and that moment may not be 2023. It may be something in 1966, and they're in that moment. We don't know where they are. We have to take them for what they say and agree with them and give them dignity and as much comfort as possible. And that it's listening with more than your ears, but with your heart. And that's really important. They will say sometimes really crazy things and maybe say it over and over again that is wrong. They may be talking about, your dog and call him a cat, and you don't correct them. You just listen to what they're saying and avoid dismissing their statements, even their unrealistic ideas.
Why would you do that? I mean, I understand in certain circumstances those conversations.
When you contradict them,
yeah,
or say, that's not a cat, it's a dog, you're putting them down. You're making them feel like they don't know what they're talking about. And they need to feel like what they're talking about, because when they are not able to express, even when it's incorrect, they withdraw. And they withdraw from the conversation, they withdraw from life. And then we have all kinds of other problems. Also, when you contradict a person with dementia in conversation, you may have disruptive behavior that then it creates a whole new set of problems that you are very concerned about, which could result in throwing something, hitting somebody, running away, running into traffic, all kinds of disruptive behaviors because their filters are also gone. And when they get disruptive in a conversation or feel like they don't have it together, they're going to run. They're going to use whatever fight or flight strategy that's built into their person and act on it. So that's why you want to stay calm and reassuring to help them get through that situation.
What are some other mistakes that people make other than correcting somebody with dementia, and how can we avoid them?
Some of the biggest mistakes are correcting is one of the biggest ones, disagreeing, arguing. The person with dementia has no capacity for arguing. They cannot figure it out. The other mistakes are talking too fast. You have to slow down your conversation. Another mistake is, I said already, contradicting, but these kind of approaches where you put a person down makes it very difficult. So speaking slowly, using very simple language, easy to understand words and phrases, not complicated descriptions of things. Avoid descriptions at all. Just keep it very, very simple. Incorporate body language as much as possible, facial gestures, expressions, use your hands, and stick to the essential points to prevent overwhelming them. For example, if you have to tell somebody, I'm going to take you to the doctor, and it's scheduled for Tuesday at 10 a.m. with Dr. Smith in the clinic on Elm Street, you can simply say, we have a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. I'll see you then. So really reducing the complexity of your conversation is very helpful. Also, timing is important. You don't want to come on too strong with a person who's very tired or ready for bed or is very engaged in some other activity. It just won't work.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Great. Thank you, Jamie. I've really enjoyed it.